Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today's topic is going to be my 3 takeaways from the Jets preseason game. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Like I said in yesterday's video, obviously we have to talk about Avery Williamson and him going down for the year. I wanted to later in the week talk about the Jets' second preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons, and since it was a little bit later, I wasn't going to do the typical recap that I normally do. Instead, I'm just going to do my 3 biggest takeaways from the game. And my first takeaway absolutely has to be Sam Darnold. He looked very, very good again. And I'm very afraid because it's bit me in the butt multiple times with the New York Jets, but I'm really buying into this kid. I think he is going to be very, very good this year. And I think he's going to take a significant leap in year 2. I already gave my projections on what I think he is going to do in 2019. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure to do that after this one. But I think he is going to be very good and take a Jared Goff or Carson Wentz-like step in year 2. He was 5 of 7 for 46 yards, bringing him up to 9 of 12 for 114 yards and a touchdown in 2 preseason games so far. That's real solid numbers. He has looked the part, and to me, the 2 throws that stood out the most in this game the other night was the one to Quincy Enunwa. So he fakes a handoff and then throws an absolute dime over the middle of the field, about 15 yards down the field, in order to hit Enunwa in a very tight window. And then the next one, which is chef's kiss good, was the throw on the left sideline, back shoulder to Robbie Anderson. When he decided to throw that ball, Robbie wasn't even close to being open. Wasn't even close to being open. It's that connection that we've seen from Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold at the very end of last year, which makes me believe that this year is going to be a big year, not only for Sam Darnold, but also for Robbie Anderson. And both those guys are going to take a step forward with an offensive mind at head coach. But so far, love what I saw out of Sam Darnold in week 2. I thought he was just as good as he was in week 1, and I'm excited to see him in the week 3 of the preseason, as they're going to play probably about a half. We probably see about 2 quarters of Sam Darnold. My second takeaway is the defense getting pressure. They got to the quarterback. That's something that I thought the Jets were going to struggle with this year, and Greg Williams was able to dial up some blitzes and get some pressure. They had 5 sacks in this game. 5. 3 of them against Matt Ryan, so it shows you that the starters were still out there, and it was legitimate sacks. Adams, Williamson, Copeland, Kafusi, and Wint all had sacks in this game, and they were able to do this by blitzing, getting this pressure. And that's something this Jets defense is going to have to do, because they don't have that prototypical edge rusher. There is no J.J. Watt. There is no Dante Fowler even. There isn't an edge, really, that can get after the quarterback. Ja'Kai Polite is still way too raw. He is still running with the third-team guys. He is not going to have the kind of impact that some of us were hoping for in year 1. Maybe down the line or later this year, he could start to come around and get some pass-rushing situations, but not instantly. So they're going to have to get creative in order to get to the quarterback, which Greg Williams did a really nice job in week 2. The thing is, it's going to open things up for them to get beat down the field. They're going to get burned on a couple of plays because they don't have the secondary to make up for it. So if you are facing a quarterback who can get the ball out really quick, that's going to be troublesome because Tremaine Johnson's banged up. His backup Cryon Brown is banged up. And Darryl Roberts and Brian Poole as your 1 and 2 cornerback, pretty gross, pretty grotesque. No matter Jamal Adams and Marcus May, if he's healthy, that's a great safety group. But the cornerback position is extremely weak. And since they lack a little bit on the edge, they're going to have to get creative in order to get after the quarterback, which we saw in week 2 of the preseason. My last takeaway is how good RB2 is this year versus last year. What I mean by RB2 is the backup running back or the second running back on the depth chart. They're going to get a ton of reps because that's just how it works in the NFL, even with Le'Veon Bell healthy. Ty Montgomery has shown, again, in back-to-back weeks that he is very, very solid. So last year, most of the time, even though Isaiah Crowell and Bilal Powell were going into the year as 1-2, it didn't work out that way. Elijah McGuire ended up getting a ton of reps as RB2, and he is not very good. I've said that before. I think he's overrated by Jets fans, but he is not a consistent enough runner in this league. He's okay as a pass catcher, but he can't run the ball. He only averages 3 yards per carry over the course of his NFL career. Ty Montgomery, though, is very, very solid, and he had himself a very nice game starting in place of Le'Veon Bell. He had 7 carries for 36 yards, which is 5.1 yards per carry, and a touchdown. He looked really, really good. And not only can he run the rock, but he is also very capable receiving. So is Le'Veon Bell. So there could be times when Adam Gase has them both in at the same time, and that just creates even more targets for Sam Darnold. I don't want to see Sam Darnold throwing to Eli McGuire or Trenton Cannon or Deontay Burnett or guys like that. Use and optimize the targets you can to Chris Herndon when he's not suspended, Le'Veon Bell, Ty Montgomery, Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, and Jamison Crowder. Those top six options are very, very solid and could be a very potent offense. I think for the first time in a long time, the Jets offense is going to be much better than their defense. Kind of a hot take. Might do a whole video on that in just a little bit. But for now, those are my 3 takeaways. 1, Sam Darnold is #good. 2, the Jets were able to get to the quarterback, which I hope they could do that somewhat consistently this year. And number 3, how much improved they are at RB2 with Montgomery in the fold. If you agree with me, comment below. Let me know what you took away from this game in week 2 of the preseason and what you're looking forward to in week 3 against the Saints. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. You can get at me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.